Okay, so Elegant Themes just announced another new feature for Divi 5, and excuse me for sounding a little bit sick, but I just wanted to cover it and go ahead and test it and see how good it is, what can improve, what issues it's having, because there is some issues. So let's just get right into it. So, today we are excited to introduce advanced units for Divi 5, introducing a new multifunctional unit field that supports a full range of CSS units, functions, and variables. So, in the past, I think you could already use a lot of these things. The newest one being the functions with which is like the clamp values. Those are things that you couldn't use in the past. But viewports are using, sorry, units like view width and view height. Those were already available to be used. But I guess when you integrate it into the builder better, I guess it's just it allows users to be able to choose those values directly instead of like when you used to put in 20, it would automatically assume pixels. So now when you change it, and let's say I have it set to view width, when I put 30, instead of it thinking automatically, hey, pixels, now it's thinking view height or view width or whatever you set it to. And then we have the CSS functions here, which is like clamp allows you to control the scalability of text and different, well, just anything in general, just scalability across different devices without having to set, let's say, 20 pixels on desktop, 15 pixels on tablet, and 10 pixels on mobile. And then we'll go over the other ones as well. And then these inherit, this is basically just gonna inherit styles from the parent element is what I'm thinking. Or inherit, let's say, I think the way this is gonna work is like, it's gonna inherit sizes uh, from different view, how would I explain that? Um, I would just chat GPT it, but whatever, we'll just move on. And then unset basically just means it's going to be unset. So like let's say I have a padding of 20 on like a desktop size. If I go to tablet, it's going to be 20. I can switch it to 0 or I can just unset it. So this would probably be a lot better with values that aren't numerical. So like let's say like well, I guess padding would be something that's numerical that it would work with, but also like what is it going to work with other things like I don't think colors it's going to work because I'm thinking in my mind of how I would use this in like CSS just coding it by hand and how I would use it inside of Divi Builder because of course there's going to be some differences, but let's continue. Yeah, let's just continue. So it supports all CSS units, including unitless values such as unset, fit content, and functions such as clamp, calc, making creating responsive designs with fluid typography easier than ever. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be nice. And then you can also define CSS variables and reference them throughout your designs. So that is also what we have to go over here because it doesn't quite work yet. Like it works, but it doesn't work. Will when we dive into actually using it, we'll kind of show why it doesn't fully work all the time. So we replaced Divi's range slider with a value picker with a new multifunctional field. You can drag it like a range slider, make minute value adjustments, or type in any value in unit. You can also select from commonly used units and functions. This new field does it all and includes support for CSS units, functions, and variables. So I think this is cool, right? Like it's adding more customization to the builder itself. But I think what they're trying to do is bring it all together with the actual style sheets that they're going to introduce. I wish I would have had that pulled up. Actually, let me see if I can find that. Divi 5 variables. Okay, design variables. Okay, so like this design variable feature, where you're gonna get the style sheet at the beginning of your project, and then you're gonna go in and you're gonna basically set all of your styles so that you can just use them automatically and just set them to whatever you're customizing. I think this is the direction they're moving in, and it's gonna be cool because there's actually a problem right now with the option-based presets, and I want to go over that. The issue with the option-based presets. Actually, let's just get into it. Let's just get into it because if not, I'm gonna forget. So I was working on my like just a portfolio website, and I kind of want to get into it. So right now, the way that the option-based presets work is that let's say we have spacing, and oh, this looks updated already. Okay, so when we set a class here, or when we, let's say, we set a group preset, and let's say we already have one, we have margin bottom small. It's going to make it to where basically the way it works right now is that the preset is going to save all of this. So it's kind of annoying because what if I just want to customize something on like this? Like let's just say I just want margin to just be like 20, right? If I save this inside of a preset, that means that I wasn't able to, if I activate that preset, like for example here, let's say I activate section padding default. When I activate that preset, it'll change my margin or bottom or top. This is top, right? It'll change my margin top. And then now it's kind of like an annoying workflow because every time I change one of these presets, it's switching everything around. So I think what variables are going to do here is that we'll be able to customize with variables instead of the option-based presets, and those variables will get to set at the beginning of building out the project. I think that's going to be a lot better. And I've been doing some more research into like how these advanced builders are doing it, like bricks, and kind of seeing trying to compare how Divi's starting to handle these things now and how these other builders are. I mean, like, I think Works has been insane when it comes to uh, adding features that developers actually care about. And it's actually forced companies like Elegant Themes or Elementor to start introducing features to not completely just lose everybody to these builders like bricks. And these there's a lot of new builders that are coming out like bricks. I think Beerus is one of those, and then Oxygen, and like yeah, they're gonna have to keep up somehow while still keeping true to, I guess, what they're trying to um, sell to their customers, which is like websites that anyone can update, which it's going to be weird to see how they even balance that with these new features because just with these new CSS functions and these new ways of like we're introducing advanced units now, somebody who doesn't really understand web development, it's going to be hard for them to know what these values are even doing. So it's going to be weird to see how they balance their approach of making a builder that everyone can use and adding all of these advanced features. So we'll have to see how they continue doing that. So using Clamp, you can create fluid typography without responsive editing. So, and then it's just going over the clamp values and then going over what the clamp values are actually doing. With the calc, you can create custom formulas to calculate sizes utilizing a combination of static and relative values. In this example below, we have a fixed menu and want 30 pixels of space on all four sides. If I set the width to 100, and this is just, I'll let you guys go over this. This is just the video. Um, Basically, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to set, have this look the same across all devices. When you set the width to 90, it doesn't quite work. I'll be honest, I'm not completely sure how this works. So we're saying 100%. of the screen, but we just want 60 pixels of margin on each side. And I guess that should scale better, or 60 pixels. Is it margin or is it padding? 60 pixels of margin or padding on each side, and that should be consistent across all devices. And then, so here we have the CSS variables in action. We're going to have to dive into this as well. And this is actually a really cool feature, but it doesn't quite work all the way. And we'll go over this. And then another issue is setting variables to the page level. To me, doesn't really make sense. And we'll go over that as well. And then now we have the ability to use all of these different variables, etc. So let's just get into testing it. So I have my website here, and let's go to the page setting and let's set a variable. So we can go to custom CSS, and I already have a variable. And this is the first issue we're having. So we're getting an error on setting a variable. And this is a core WordPress error, I believe, because I'll show in a second when we go to the file theme editor. Actually, I'll show it right now. See if I can duplicate this. Okay, duplicate tab. Let's go exit, and let's go to the file theme editor. We get the same error, and this is core WordPress. So what I'm thinking is that this is just a error from WordPress in general, right? But we'll just have to see. So anyways, let's set a variable, right? So the idea is that you can bring in a bunch of variables and use them across the entire website without having to guess what I want sizes to be, right? So like let's just say let's just say text small, right? Again, so text small is just going to be 10 pixels, right? When we save this, we should be able to go to something. Let's go to an existing, right? An existing paragraph. We go to design. Let's actually just remove. So we're going to remove the text size. It's going to go back to the default. And let's use dash dash text small. Boom, we apply it. And look, it doesn't work right now. That is a weird thing. So like, let's say we want this to be 40. So we reload, we go here, design, text, and then here's another issue, right? So let's go back to the page. I just want to show this real quick. And what if we wanted text medium and we wanted it to be 60? And let's turn this on to 30 just so that there's a big difference here. When we go here, it would make sense, right? That you just want to say, I just want to do 30. But that wouldn't work. You'd have to go in, restart, and say text medium for that to work. And as of right now, the variables at the page level aren't even working, right? At least on my end, it's not really even working. So let's just bring in some text here and let's see if it works on new text. So if we go text, medium, it doesn't work, right? It just does not work at all. And let's see, because what I was doing earlier, I was doing font size, right? And I think that was also breaking it. But let's try that instead. And maybe we have to set, because the way variables work is that we would basically be passing font size into here, and that's not what we're trying to do. But let's see if that changes anything. It doesn't, right? So right now it's not working for me, and I've done it exactly how they show it in the videos, but for some reason it's just cracked. So what if we say text test, right? Let's go in and try this. Let's go text and then text test, right? Doesn't work. Okay, cool. So I'm going to show a different way to do it because it doesn't work that way. And then we're going to go over why this is kind of a game changer, right? So if we go to your edit themes, right, you can write these variables directly into your child theme. So the way it works is when you have a new project, right, you get the Divi theme, but you also create your own child theme, right? And if you're not seeing file theme editor, that just means one of your plugins is blocking this from actually appearing. And this is for security reasons because it's not actually recommended to change your CSS or not to change your CSS. It's not recommended to touch these file or these theme file editor code bases because what happens is that you can completely destroy your website, right? Like you can go in here, accidentally delete this line, and then now your your Divi site is basically going to be corrupt. And if you don't know what you're doing, this can cause massive issues. And if you don't have a backup of your website, then you're in even more deep trouble. But basically, I have these custom variables, and these variables are coming from just to show you the code base here, was coming from a framework that I was actually building out. So SiteCrafter, he has a framework as well. And basically, these frameworks are basically kind of useless now because Divi is building it directly into their builder. So we have a bunch of values, and what these values are basically they're they're um they're basically variables with information inside of them. A variable is basically just like a box, and this clamp is basically information that we're putting inside of that box that we can later pull out and use on our website. I guess that's one way you can think about it. And they can be anything from colors to, and I want to test colors as well. So I'm going to add another one just to kind of show you guys. So like let's say we go colors here, and then we're gonna say background, so BG red, we're gonna go 100, and I actually, to be honest, let's just do white because I don't even know, um, I'm not gonna remember like what the values are for background of red. Okay, so we can do that. And now we have a background of white variable, which we're going to test on our website. So let's go to our portfolio. Let's refresh and let's start messing around with these variables. I already started messing around, but we're going to keep going. So if we go to services here, we go to design, let's go ahead and start messing around. So if we go to edit themes again, we see that we have spacing extra small, spacing medium. So if we wanted to add some margin top, the way we would do it is just by moving around this slider, playing around with it, and seeing what we want. But that's not efficient. And let's say we're doing it here as well, and then we're doing it here as well, and we're doing it on multiple parts of our website. And all of these have different values. So like this has like 12, and then this is gonna have like 20, etc., etc. That's gonna make a very inconsistent website. And then like let's say the client's like, hey, I want to change the way this section looks right here. Well, like if this section is supposed to look the same as this section, that's just going to cause massive issues. So the variables are going to make sure that things look consistent across website. And so let's say we want spacing small. Now it basically has the CSS variable, and then spacing small can be used here and it can be used here. So let's say spacing small. So cool. It's been used in two different areas. So now, instead of, let's say the client is like, hey, I want this to be different. Instead of having to go in every single time and update this, you would just go to your spacing variables and you would update this instance where it's used everywhere on your website. And that's going to make updating websites easier. And what's even better is that when we get a feature like this, we're going to be able to just go into a certain file, or not file, I guess, yeah, file, and we're going to be able to edit it directly inside of the builder. So we're not even going to have to go into here anymore. there's just going to be, let's say, like something here in the UI. I mean, I think it'd be cool if they listed it on this side right here, where you have your like global presets or something like that. You click on them, you get something here, and you get to just edit them on the fly. And I think that's the direction they're moving in. We're just going to have to see. So we can remove this, and then we can remove this. Cool. So I added a variable for background. I don't actually think we would need to use that because we have global colors anyways. So like those global colors are just going to be set anyways. So I think that variable that I set for background isn't going to be that important, right? So I think something fun we can do, let's go to ChatGPT and let's say, give me some CSS variables I can use on my website for more consistent design. So let me have ChatGPT just give me some variables real quick. And of course, yeah, we have the um, colors here. But the thing is, because that's why I kind of had to think about it, because the way that that Divi works, I don't think we need those because we already have the the variables, so you can't just put them in here. So we already have global colors, and you would just pick them directly from your global colors, right? So that wouldn't make any sense. Um, so let's see what else we get. Oh, sorry, wrong one. We have typography variables, so those are going to be built in. I'm not sure that that would work just yet. So if we go here, go to text. I guess maybe this is something we can try. I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, I don't think that would even work. Right now, there's just a lot of limitations on how these advanced features work. Like, because we can only really set the size, right? And then the letter spacing and the line height. We can't really set other things like, let's say, for example, like when you're coding a CSS project or when you're coding a project in general, you can use these type of variables and it'll like change font family, right? That's our spacing. We already have that. I guess we can do that. Let's say, let's add a max width variable and we're gonna make it even smaller. So instead of colors, we're gonna say width. We're gonna remove this. We're gonna add this in here and we're gonna say this, let's say 500 pixels instead, 500 pixels. And then we're going to say that's the max width for content. So we want to make it max width small, right? And then, oops, I don't know what I just opened there. We're going to update and we're going to see how this would actually work. So we're going to reload. We can leave page, that's fine. And let's say we have something along the lines of this. So we have boom and we have some text, boom. So if we go here to our design, we go to the sizing, width, we can choose one of these two, but instead let's go dash dash max width small. And then we get that max width applied there. But here's two problems that I'm having with this. So let's say we want to add another one and we're going to make this max width medium 700. Let's update the file. We can save and reload. Save, reload. Let's go down here and let's duplicate this. So when we duplicate, when we go here and we go to spacing, let's go to text, sorry. And no, actually it was sizing. So we go to sizing, we get the max width small. We can't just go medium, can we? Okay, we can just go medium. Okay, so that was actually something that wasn't working and now it's working. So we can just do medium. And then here's one big issue. and I forgot to go over it. So if we go dash dash spacing medium, it'll add spacing, margin top and bottom. But here's the thing, we can't see this. So if I wanted to switch this to large, I can't see anything. It's all blocked off by this. So like if I want to change it to large, I kind of just have to guess, right? Guess where the things are. And this is actually something they updated because it wasn't working when it originally came out. So we can remove this and let's go here and let's say sizing, oh no, spacing. And then we can do spacing. Well, let's see if it works like this now. Spacing medium. No, it doesn't work. It's going to say undefined because we have to go dash dash spacing medium. And then we're going to remove that. I didn't want it applying to both. But cool, it just applies it to the bottom. And then like instead of having to go in here every single time and change this on every single instance of your website, which is just awful, you go here and you just change the, okay, so let's just do that. So it could just say 900. Cool. We can save. This is going to change to 900. So notice where my mouse is staying. This is where it cut off. Now it's here. So imagine if you have this style just like across your website 50 times, right? If you have that style 50 times across your website, that's going to save you a load of time. Another thing to note, I don't even recommend using this, right? Because here's what's going to happen, right? When you set your custom CSS on the page setting level, if you save, you exit, and you go to your pages, let's say you have a new page, you edit, when you go back to your page settings, it's going to be gone. So you get to use it on one page, but you don't get to use it on the other. That's why you want to set it globally. And right now, this is the only way you can set it globally. But I think with this new update, hopefully we get this next week. It's going to be just an amazing way to kind of work with the global styles, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna make updating Divi websites just a lot better. So here, let's go ahead and uh, let's mess around with this one more time. Let's set this back to where it needed to be. In the past, I had text uh, 21 pixels. We can remove that. It's gonna have that. So what if we just go text large? Cool. But I need extra large. Okay, and it doesn't work. That's weird. So, oh, because it's font. Sorry, that's on me. So is that actually working now? Is that what that means? Hold on. Because we run into bugs all the time. So text, test, text medium. No, it wasn't working because it would have made it huge. So instead, we can go font small. Boom. Or like, what if we want to go medium? Font medium. Boom. Font extra small. Boom. Cool. So that's working. And then what we see is that because it's a clamp value, it's, oh man, this is another issue I'm having with my Divi site right now. Just, I think it's the way because I have a bunch of margin set on this image and it's just making it weird and buggy. But instead, let's just preview this. And then what we're going to notice about this text here is that it's going to be dynamic because of the clamp value. And we pull it out, as you see, just looking at high quality WordPress solutions, you see how it's changing sizes. Nothing else is changing sizes because I don't have anything else set dynamically right now. I'm waiting for all of these features to come out, but I just kind of wanted to show, I think it is set on this actually. Heading 1, yeah it is. So let's just go 3XL for now. Oh, see, it just completely breaks sometimes. So font 3XL, set that to there, okay. So now if we go here, oh, I don't have the preview on, but if we just go mobile, okay, all of that works perfectly fine. I wanted to show these new updates in a real kind of workflow. I could have shown how it works across pages, but I'm going a lot over on time. But I just kind of wanted to go over what these new updates are and how these updates are going to be able to just make workflows a lot quicker on Divi 5. Of course, there's still a lot of work to be done. Um, the biggest thing right now is that there's no flexbox, and that's the biggest issue right now with Divi, and that's one of the reasons why it's really hard for me to even recommend using Divi, because without flexbox is just like, come on, like we're in 2025, and having no Flexbox in 2025 is just a little bit bizarre for me. There's ways, I mean, I guess you work around with it, but there's just some layouts that, you just need Flexbox for. And that's another video for another time. But I think that's pretty much it. I think we pretty much went over everything. We went over the variables, where the variables should be set, how these variables can actually make building websites easier, showed it inside of a real environment. I didn't go over what all of these advanced units mean. I don't really use all of these advanced units, if I'll be completely honest with you, but I'll probably continue to learn about those units. This was just my initial impression. We went over how to set it globally instead of just to the page level. They didn't go over that, which is actually quite weird because yeah, that would be important in my opinion. And these max width, actually the way I should have shown it is on these cards, because these cards have a max width. If we go here, go to sizing, they have a max width, right? Content width, max width 550. It should be pixels. And then if we go, okay, because it's set to the custom blurb one, right? So these are like almost like Divi's versions of components. And yeah, well, that is basically it. I think we covered everything. I think they're doing a good job. I actually wish they would change this to like, this is cool, but one, I wish this was all a unified, consistent color across. Or I wish that if we're using light mode, I wish it would change the whole thing to light mode. That's another gripe of mine. Or I wish they would just let you customize I don't know. That's another thing for another time, but that's pretty much it for the new Divi 5 update. They're doing a good job. Uh, they still have a lot of work to do. I think Flexbox is something that I'm just really, really waiting for. I don't know how they're going to implement that, but we'll have to see. But that's pretty much it, and I will be back for the next Divi update.